Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome along to the Rolling Cup podcast. We are back. We're back again. Devastate. Masanevra, how you doing?
I am very well, thank you, Beef. And first things first, an apology to both of you, but also to the rest of the community. We have already recorded some elements of this podcast, but due to a malfunction in OBS, which is the software we use to record the podcast, it didn't record my audio. Now, I know that's great news for some listeners, but it wouldn't have made much sense. So we've had I was then away for the entirety of the weekend, so this is the first chance we've got. But apart from that, I know I've got a bit of a sore throat as well, so I'm going to sound a bit waspy. But hopefully you're all having a good week. Quick thing, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, hit the subscribe button, and follow us on all of our social media channels listed down below. And if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, or Amazon Music, please give us a follow. We'd very much appreciate it. Mass, how are you doing?
Welcome. I'm very well, thank you. Yep, all good. All good.
Mass, do you not think that Devastate sounds like a 95-year-old man who's been smoking for 40 years?
Slightly.
Oh, yeah, my voice is going to go up and down, in and out of different octaves during the course of this podcast.
Oh, it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be fantastic. But we'll kick off. The Raw Link update has been confirmed. If you haven't watched the last couple of weeks' podcast, the date is confirmed. So July the 5th will be the 27th Raw Link Up opening ceremony of this year. So we are about 21 weeks away, something like that. Honestly, that will fly by. And before we kick off, make sure, as Devastate said, thumbs up and a subscribe on YouTube. We would be most appreciative of. But let me just give you a quick rundown of what we're going to talk through today. So we're going to talk through our favourite topic at the moment, the Nvidia 5000 series, a bit of GTA 6, WWE 2K25, Tempest Rising, our favourite house, Ubisoft. A bit on gamepass, some games controllers, a racing game update, and a bit on Steam as well, which a very interesting article we recently popped up. But let's kick it off. So the 5080, 5090 GPUs from Nvidia launched very recently. They essentially sold out instantly across multiple different platforms. Kind of expected. But a lot of information to pack in here. So one of my favourite articles I saw that was eBay users were essentially taking a photo of a 5080 or a 5090 and then listing it to try and get bots to purchase a listing of the picture. And in the description it said, I'm here just for the scalpers, so hopefully a bot sees this and buys this, but you will only receive a photo of the GPU and not the GPU itself. So that put a smile to my face for sure. Alienware have obviously got a pre-build already, $4,500 for a 5080, which is frankly absurd. I mean, it's got top specs, but I think you're paying a lot for the name on that one because I mean the 5080 is what $900? No, that's about $900, something like that. So to add another $3,000 in components seems a bit overkill.
And the components weren't great. I mean, I was expecting the top of the line AMD, like X3D processor, decent RAM. It's good, but it's not £3,000 worth of components. I don't even think it's £2,000 worth of components.
No.
So
and it looks
good.
It looks good.
Alienware. And they always do the Alienware machines.
Yeah, I remember when Dust or one of the other gamers from the Link Up crew bought Mass. When did he buy that massive thing where we had it? I can't remember, but it was a massive white one. What year was that?
You're talking about an Alienware?
Dustel's Alienware. He spent a disgusting amount of money on it.
It would have been over 15. It was 08, I think it was. So.
But it was like you could fit a small child in there. It was so big. And it was just a huge amount of money for that. Was it like £2,000 at the time? Was it 2.5, something like that? It was a huge amount of money.
It's always had a premium.
Yeah, premium. Yeah, definitely. But moving on. We were expecting, obviously, off the back of Jensen's presentation around the performance of the 5080 and the 5090 specifically, to see a massive uplift in performance. But Devastate, we're not seeing that, are we? We're only really seeing, in real terms, probably a 10, maybe 15% uplift, which is not really going to tick many people's boxes at that price point, is it?
Yeah, so I don't think anyone who saw the Nvidia launch deck at CES and Jensen's speech, there was that, oh my god, this is amazing. We spoke about it 2 days after. We said, this is incredible, but we need to wait to see the benchmarks because it's a marketing deck to get people all hyped up.
Yeah.
They have now, those cards have now been with reviewers for a period of time. They were embargoed until the day of the pre-orders went on sale at the end of January. And a couple of things that are just really evident. Now, I'm not going to give you the specific numbers, but general numbers. So it looks like in native rendering performance, so like for like, it is about a 10% uplift in terms of frames on the 4000 series cards, which is pretty good. 10% generation over generation is pretty good. What obviously Nvidia had said though was like massive performance benefits. Now those massive performance benefits can be seen, but that is using their new DLSS 4.0, where essentially what it does is it uses AI to generate frames in between. So if you had a game that was running at 25 frames per second, you could get it running at 100 frames per second, but it is fake. Now the problem, that sounds amazing in principle, but the problem that actually does is it doesn't compensate for any input lag. So your inputs are still running natively at 25 frames per second. So in competitive gaming, it's actually useless.
Yeah. And obviously, we're highly competitive gamers here at the Royal Cup, and we're all essentially on the professional level. You'll see us at MLG quite frequently. Maybe not Mass or Vedic, because obviously they're not the tier of gamer that me and Devastate are. But yeah.
Yeah, and we might revisit the tier list system closer to the link up. For those of you who haven't watched it, there is a go and check out one of the videos from early last year. But essentially, for games that support DLSS, it's good. There is some really weird artifacting that can happen when AI is automatically generating that many frames. So it's good. I will probably not use the DLSS 4 if I had the card. I've got a 3000 series card. I don't use DLSS unless I really have to. So yeah, is it the wow factor that we thought it would be? No. Is it good? Yeah. Is it worth you upgrading from your 4000 series graphics cards? No, I don't think so. I think the biggest thing that people should go back and look at is the memory on the graphics cards. 4K gaming now, you're going to require 12 gig minimum. Now the problem you've got is that a lot of these cards don't have 12, ideally 16, just because of the bandwidth
you need a buffer, don't you?
I think that's going to be the crunch line issue. So unless you're looking at the top of the line one and you're doing some real hardcore 4K gaming and in ultra, I think you've got to stump up the money for the top card. But they're good. Are they worth the price? Are they worth the upgrade? Because if you go to a 2000 series, or in Matt's case, if you've got a 1070, it's generational performance. It's generational because you'll experience ray tracing for the first time.
Ray tracing.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like we'll talk about Indiana Jones in detail a little bit later, but ray tracing is mandatory for Indiana Jones game, and I think this year we're going to see way more games have mandatory graphics cards that support ray tracing because they're going to be built into the game. So that if you're buying a brand new machine and you've got a card that's 2000 series, yes, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to 4,000. I'm not going from 3,000 to 5,000. I'm probably going to wait one more generation to go with the 6,000 when that comes out.
Yeah.
But
no, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. But moving on, one of the biggest games on the horizon, GTA 6. Couple of bits here. So there's a rumor that GTA 6 will initially launch at 30 FPS, 30 frames per second, with a view to then it being upgraded later on to ideally 60 FPS. Whether or not that's true or not, that comes from a former dev within the Rockstar team. So we shall see. But
with
the bigger
that, though,
news,
it's possible though that they are developing it at that frame rate.
Yeah.
Now, if they worked on it 3 years ago, that was the hardware that they actually had available to them.
Yeah.
They probably predicted these 10% increments of performance to say that they can probably get to 60 by launch.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. But the bigger news is we have a potential... Well, no, it's confirmed now, isn't it, Devastate? We have a confirmed release date.
We have a confirmed window.
Window. It's a window. Fall of 2025, so autumn of this year. So from that perspective, we're looking at realistically September, October, November this year. So every other games publisher in the world is not going to be launching a game anytime near that. If they do, they're clueless, and frankly, their game's going to fail rapidly. But that is good news because I actually thought it would probably be next year. So I think the fact that it's this year is very good. But there's no scenario where I don't think me or Mass are going to be buying a console to go and play it. We will wait till it comes out on PC. So as and when it comes out on PC, we will have to wait on that. But it will come at some point, no doubt.
They did say that the date that game is actually released, the productivity in the world will allegedly go down for that particular day.
I can believe
so
it.
So many people will be either have already taken holiday, or a large proportion of people might just happen to be ill.
Well, you speak about consoles. I'm probably going to go and try and source a console second hand, like before launch.
I thought you had an Xbox.
No.
You're only on PC?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then what I'll do is I'll go and buy it, and I'll play it, and then when it comes out on PC, I'll sell the console.
Yeah. You can get a second-hand Xbox for like 150 now, can't you?
Yeah, I think you can probably get them cheaper than that. So, and then I'll probably be able to resell it for 120 after a couple of months. So we're waiting to see. It's all going to depend on the schedule.
Well, moving on. WWE 2K25 is launching in just over a month's time, March 14th. So we've got a release date on that. There's a few editions. You've got the Bloodline edition. You've got the Legend edition featuring Taker. My kids absolutely love 2K2, the previous version. So I will try, potentially have a look see at that. But we've got a release date for that. But I think more interesting for a link-up perspective, Devastator's played the Tempest Rising demo, which I think we're all very much looking forward to, being Command & Conquer fans ourselves. Devastator, give us your lowdown.
Yeah, so we spoke about it on the last episode of the podcast, this new RTS Command & Conquer style game, available to demo, available in the Steam store. I thought, I'm going to go and give it a play. really surprised. It's really good to start off with. It is like Command and Conquer 1, 2. It is like just such a throwback with just the most, with more polish in the graphics. It's very much moving away from like the newer RTS style of games, which are more slower, methodical, strategic, and it is much more get built, rush your opponent, and take them out as quickly as possible. And it took me by surprise playing it because I hadn't played a Rush RTS game in a long time, but I really enjoyed it. Don't know if it has the depth I'd probably want, but because the game's over so quickly, I think it'd be interesting when you get into the multiplayer aspect and playing online, or when we're playing it in a 8-player, 10-player environment.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it sounds almost very similar to how StarCraft 2 used to be, in that it's very much a game of, right, how quickly and how economically can you get everything set up, build your army, etc., and try and rush your opponent, which will definitely have an appeal to certain folk. But then at the same time, it's a demo, so there will probably be additional features within the full game itself, as and when and what that looks like. We haven't got too long to wait, only a few months until Tempest Rising comes out.
Yeah. If you hadn't have told me the title and if you'd have just popped me in the game straight away, I would have said this is Command and Conquer rebuilt for 2025.
So you could close your eyes and listen to the soundtrack, and you think, "Hang on a minute, that sounds familiar."
It is so similar. The way that you have your construction base, and then you have to build a power station, and then you get your barracks, and then that generates you unlocking your tank factory, which then unlocks you be able to do flying vehicles, which then allows you to do and it's like this just exact, almost same mechanical system that almost like it does the ring round like the soldiers as they're being generated. Couple of nice things. Queuing up is quite nice, and I'm probably going to revisit the demo just to try a couple of other sort of styles of gameplay, but it'll be a good game when it comes out.
The other one thing to note as well is the Doctrines tab, which sort of slightly can, depending on which team you pick, they have different types of doctrines you can choose, so there might be a slightly different way to play each of the teams, which is something that the original CNC didn't have. But beyond that, yeah, it's very much...
I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? You think about the old Command and Conquer games, that was sort of at the dawn of the internet age. Yeah. I would sort of say, so what was that?
Yeah.
95, the original Command and Conquer came out?
Yeah, around 96, maybe something like that.
Somewhere around there.
Because Red Alert 2 was what?
96.
Red Alert 2 was... Yeah, I was
Red Alert was 96. Sorry, Red Alert 2 I think was 02, was it? It was. Before,
I thought maybe 01. I thought like when I first came to the link up, which would have been 01. That's kind of tallies up from a timeline perspective. But
2002 would have been
Red Alert 2.
Yeah, I know, yeah, 2002 is Red Alert.
So what I was sort of saying is that those games didn't exist in an internet environment. So there was no online multiplayer. So I think it'd be really interesting to see how online play will work with this title, because it does carry so many of the same traits as the old one that actually does it really work in a big multiplayer scenario.
Here's a scenario for you boys. Imagine there's a 16-player 8-on-8. We can have 8 of us at the link up, and we get some of our viewers on another 8. Oh, can you imagine how good that would be?
I mean,
that would be.
Just to clarify, sorry, Red Alert 2 is 2000. Sorry, yeah, Tiberium Sun 99 and Red Alert 96. Command and Conquer 95.
Yeah. But no, very exciting.
Was 2002 then?
2003.
Yeah, Generals was after the Red Alert 2, wasn't it? Yeah.
Cool. That was when franchises were bringing out games every year, every other year. And now a game takes 5 years to make.
Or if you GTA 6, it takes even longer.
Yeah, Command & Conquer Generals was out in 03 in March, and then 6 months later it released the greatest add-on ever.
0 Hour.
0 Hour.
What a game. What an add-on.
Indeed. Right, well, yeah, we're very excited about Tempest Rising, as you can tell. But moving on to our favourite house, Ubisoft. We berate them regularly on this channel. They haven't made any good games in the best part of a decade. Mass, what's going on with Ubisoft?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not good news for some people working for Ubisoft. They're actually shutting down their Leamington studio, which is going to cost jobs. They're making cuts elsewhere as well, so it'll amount to 185 jobs. They've got the one in Leamington itself closing down, and then they're restructuring Ubisoft Reflections, which is its main offices in the UK, up in Newcastle, I believe, and then subsequent to that around Europe, you've got Ubisoft Stockholm, Ubisoft Dusseldorf, which are all going to be, which also will not be exempt from those cuts.
Going down.
They won't shut down.
Yeah,
they will just be restructured. But Leamington is shutting down.
No, sad news about of Ubisoft, but I think given that everything that we've spoken about on this podcast, they haven't made a good game in a very, very long time. Rainbow Six was probably the last really good game that they made, so it kind of doesn't surprise a lot of us here on this channel. But yeah, obviously sad for those employees for sure.
Yeah, and it's those employees that they want to work in a studio that does make great games and makes good decisions, and like you want to do a good job. So I don't blame any of those people getting laid off. Like they've unfortunately dealt a bad hand with bad management and bad leadership. But just speaking of, there is a new Far Cry game out from Ubisoft. It dropped on the Xbox Game Pass today, in fact. So I will give that a little go before the next podcast to see if Ubisoft can create something good. But I'm not going to hold my breath.
No. But moving on, Games Pass. So Indiana Jones drew in some massive numbers through Games Pass. 4 million gamers into Indiana Jones through Xbox Games Pass, which is ridiculous numbers, frankly, for a game which is single player, but like genuinely astounding. But devastating. We've seen that Games Pass has been growing at a rate of sort of 2%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you look at the actual numbers beneath that 2%, it's very significant, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that we have the with the quarter 2 earnings call for 2025, and that their content and service revenue grew by 2%, primarily due to Game Pass. So they have basically said that if you think about the big games that we've had this year, day one exclusives, you mentioned Indiana Jones, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 obviously was massive, and this is in a subscription tier model. I think that these are good news stories. The PC sales for Game Pass, because also what you bear in mind with Xbox Game Pass, you've got the Xbox console version and the PC version. The PC Game Pass had a 30% spike in subscribers.
I mean, that's massive. That's massive because, so if you think about where a lot of these activations are coming from a Xbox Games Pass perspective, it's the likes of, right, if you buy a laptop, you might get a 7 or 30-day trial of Xbox Games Pass. You might get a 1 year if you're really lucky. Same on the pre-built gaming PC side of things. I can see a lot of them being thrown in with that, particularly around with the likes of Scan, etc., where they'll essentially be pushing Games Pass to those pre-built PC markets, as it would be. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense. But that's, I mean, 30% is just an unreal number. Unreal number.
I mean, what ultimately Microsoft have really hoped for is like because anyone could go and sign up, and this for I'm just going to relate to the PC version, but it's you could go and do 30 days for £1, £1, and then after that I think it's £9.99 a month. But people who hadn't signed up before went and did it for Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and played that for a month for £1.
Yeah.
They hadn't done it, and they went and did it for Indiana Jones. Like, I think,
And we've done that as a link up crew many a time where we know that there's a bunch of games that are on Xbox Games Pass that we're only going to play at the link up solely, and we will not play out the link up, and we'll just go and get a one quid for 30 days, done. And then, I mean, I kept mine, but I utilised some of the games on there. So for a tenner a month, it's an absolute no-brainer.
yeah, I go in and out of activating it and deactivating it. So if it's a game on there that I want to play that I know I'm going to get a month's worth of use out of that game, I'll go and do it, and then I might stop it for a couple of months and then restart it and wait for like maybe 2 games to go on there that I want to play. I think it is really good. I also sorry.
I was just going to say, just to add to that, like, and I've realised, and I don't know whether this is me being really stupid, but if you download a game via Games Pass, you can play it on LAN in the same household with someone else on a different account. So what I did was I've got my own, obviously, Xbox Live Games Pass subscription. I created my wife one, put it on the other PC where the kids play, and now they both play Ark Survival Ascended with only one subscription. And I didn't know that.
Is that a family plan, maybe?
No, I've just got bog standard $9.99 Games Pass, and I literally created my wife a free Xbox Live account, so that because obviously you can't create a kids one, created her one, put it on the other PC. The kids log in and they both play Ark Survival Ascended on essentially one license.
Oh, so they're logging in on are both logged in accounts?
2 separate Xbox Live accounts. So my account, Beef the Legend, and my wife's one, which I created for her. I'm the only one with Xbox Live, Xbox Games Pass subscription. They've both been able to download the same game. So the other game was just downloaded, no questions asked, and you can both play on it, which I think is... I didn't know that. Like, Mass, did you know that? No, but for me, that's fantastic because then it means I can then take advantage of all the games which are have got LAN capability, and then the kids can play it, and I don't have to pay for any of it again. Because I was being very reticent, going, I don't want to have to pay another 35 quid to play Ark Survival Ascended when they're both going to play it. If I can just do it on one, it's an absolute gold mine.
Interesting. It might be worth us doing some testing on that for the link up.
Yeah, it could be actually. Yeah.
You did quickly mention, obviously, just this. I'll finish off the Microsoft bit. So yeah, Indiana Jones, part of his success, it drew 4 million players since its December release. I am on the final boss scene at the moment. I've been playing. I was trying to get the game finished. I'm sort of doing it in hour and a half chunks. But really enjoyed the game. It has I'm coming to the end of it now, and it's actually made me want to go and play a lot more campaign-based, story-driven games. So I have really enjoyed it. And then the final thing that I'll touch on is Microsoft spoke about Xbox Cloud Gaming, which, for those of you who don't know, is essentially you have the subscription, you can run it on a lower spec machine, perfect for someone like Mass, and the actual rendering actually happens in the cloud, so you can play AAA quality games on your lower spec machines, even on tablets. They said that they had a record 140 million hours on the service in a quarter, and
wow, that's a lot.
And they said that they're going to lean into more opportunities in that space. So you might also then have games exclusive to cloud gaming. Because here's the thing: if you have to spend a lot of money on a device most of the time. Like you got PCs that are costing thousands. You got the latest consoles that cost £200, £300, £400. Then
Unless you got the PS5 Pro, which is costing you 800 quid.
yeah. But if you can have old hardware but running these games, it's not going to be good for competitive games. Latency will be terrible. But playing, if you've got fantastic internet with low latency, it could be. It might be a way for mass to be able to enjoy some gamings before.
No, devastate. No, what we need to remember is 2025 is the year that Master Nevera is going to be upgrading his PC. The dust is going to be coming off it. He's going to be having so much RGB that Rage Quits is going to be very envious.
Yeah, I'm going to double the RAM.
You're going to double the RAM.
16. Yeah.
But your motherboard's so old, you probably can't buy RAM for it anymore.
Probably not. It's probably like DDR1, isn't it?
You'll definitely be on DDR3. I know that much.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But,
yeah.
Moving on.
So good news for Microsoft there, like all round.
Yeah. Mass, let's talk about one of your favourite racing games, Screamer. You sent Devastate and I the trailer for it. Tell us more.
It didn't give too much away, I suppose. It looks like a bit more futuristic. So, Screamer was actually originally out on the on the PC back in. I was going to say Amiga there, but it's not. No, it was on PC back in 1995. It was a fantastic racing game. Just an arcade racer. You could race in your Lamborghini or your Ferrari or your Porsche. 6 tracks. It wasn't, and it was. We didn't play it at a link up, at a Royal Link Up, but we did play it at a LAN party. But it was just a great arcade racer. And last month they on the IGN website they had the Screamer teaser trailer. So I'm going to be keeping my eyes peeled for this game. It'll be released on PC as well as both the PS5 and the Xbox Series next year. So yeah, I'm looking. It had a fantastic soundtrack as well.
Yeah, the trailer looked pretty good. Soundtrack also looked pretty good. And when is it launching? Did it have a date?
Wait, no, not until next year anyway. So
not until next year. So we've got at least 12 months to wait for that. But let's finish with something which is hot off the press. There is apparently rumours of Valve planning a Steam console to compete with PlayStation and Xbox. Article today on twistedvoxel.com. Apparently there's a known insider and content creator posted on his YouTube channel where he claimed that Valve is currently working on a Steam console to compete against PS5 and the Xbox consoles in the future. And apparently he's quite reputable in that respect. But that would be an interesting one. I mean, I wonder what games would be available on it. I'm presuming
every game on Steam.
Yeah, everything on your. But then I think the biggest one is going to be the hardware. What hardware is it going to have within it? You think it's got to be able to run all the latest stuff, so it's got to have a top-end GPU, you would think. But if there's only rumours of it now, it's not going to be out anytime this year. It's probably going to be, I would think it would probably be out when the next iteration of the Xbox and the PlayStation comes out. That would kind of make sense to me. But
yeah, I mean, so Steam has sort of done this before. So they launched the Steam boxes, which were essentially mini PCs, back about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yep.
But they were basically PCs made by, I want to say Dell, or a PC manufacturer that were just badged as Steam, with essentially running Linux with Steam in big picture mode.
Yeah.
What I think that they've done is they've looked at the Steam Deck, looked at the success of the Steam Deck, and gone, we can make a play here that will basically sell more games for us. So they look at how the Steam Deck is optimized for gaming. So Steam Deck publish a list of all of the games that are compatible for it, and a lot of the developers sort of almost like tweak some of the code to work for a Steam Deck. Now, working for a screen that's going to be run on a 40-inch TV in the home is a different proposition than running on a 8-inch, 9-inch handheld screen. So yes, the processor power is definitely going to be more. It wouldn't surprise me if this is an AMD play. So it'll be AMD hardware, the same way that the current generations of Xbox and PlayStations are running AMD hardware. So I would expect them to create something of a similar ilk, run native Linux distro with Steam Big Picture mode. That is just, you go into it. I think it's a really good idea from Steam, because we want something to disrupt the console market, because the console market hasn't been disrupted in a long time. You got to think
20 years.
Well,
20 years.
Microsoft disrupted it. I disrupted it.
2002, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that I think we've actually seen to disrupt the market is actually the Nintendo Switch. Is Nintendo's move away from the in-home console market and create an everywhere console.
Yeah.
Now they've seen how well a Switch does, how well the Steam Deck's doing, and now Nintendo's into everything. So you can run your Switch at home with the dock and use the controllers. So it might be that they do something with a Switch. Sorry, with the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
But I really hope that we can do something that forces Nintendo and Microsoft to up the levels again. Like, they compete against each other, but Sony wins comfortably, hands down, basically because of the Japanese market. But essentially, yeah, creating competition's a good thing.
100%.
The only thing I would say is Steam would almost need to have some exclusives. Some IP, because it doesn't really it has little bits and pieces, but nothing mega. It has Golf with Your Friends.
Half-Life 3.
Well, there was the new Half-Life game that is currently being worked on, that is currently being tested at the moment. But is that going to be enough for people?
It's got to be a massive title to really draw people in.
I think Counter-Strike.
Yeah, I think the appeal for a lot of folk on that will be the fact that you can essentially run your entire Steam library on a console with the same, it will be when it launches, with the same capability, but you can have it on your living room TV.
Yeah. We've had, I think I've actually got one. You had the Steam Link that came out about 7-ish years ago,
something like
which essentially plugged into the TV. It connected over LAN to my PC. Now, as long as my PC was on, I could have that unit in any room in the house, and I could run Steam Big Picture mode and play any game from my Steam library on it. And then my PC did a lot of the processing. There could also be a switch here. We spoke earlier about Microsoft moving into cloud gaming. Steam might also do the same thing with this console. That's something to be considered. We'll just finish quickly on Steam. They have released, for the first time, I think it's in 10 years, a new handheld controller. So do you remember it had like two big circles? I think Acidic Virus had it.
Yeah,
they've released.
He had everything.
Yeah, they released a new one, and it's all the reviews are panned out. Absolutely terrible. Buttons are terrible. The layout is not nice. It is.
Did Ubisoft have a hand in helping creating it if it flopped?
Sounds like it, but yes, it's It's a 75 quid controller, 70 quid controller. There are way better controllers on the market, and yes, it's not good.
Just your box standard Xbox One.
Yeah, although I am gonna start having a look at some other handheld controllers because there are some ones that are supposedly better at very similar devices. So I might we're gonna have a look and do some testing on some controllers at some point.
Indeed. But big news. So we're recording this on Tuesday the 4th. Tomorrow, it's Vedic's big day. No, not tomorrow. Thursday is Vedic's big day. Civilization 7 is out. So if we can pry him away next week, we will try and get him on to talk about Civilization 7. But yeah, he'll be very, very excited for that. Yeah, I think that's all. Mass, Devastate, anything else from you guys?
Nope.
No, but yeah, the Link Up 27th annual Royal Link Up is scheduled for the 5th of July this year. So make sure you stay tuned for that, and you are following all of our socials. We would love it if you could drop a like and subscribe if you're watching over on YouTube. Again, we'd always appreciate that. And if you've got any comments on what you want to see or what we have talked about, we would love that as well. Mass?
And do add any comments, please, or any recommendations in relation to any games that you think we should be playing at this year's 27th annual Link Up that we may not have already spotted ourselves. So yeah, that'd be great if you could
Yeah, because if there's anything. Yeah, because if there's any games that we can try, we will someone will download it and give it a try. And if it's on Xbox Games Pass, even better, we can try that as well. But we are always down to try new games, even if they're absolutely terrible. But you think that they might work, like Oh Dear and Who's Your Daddy? Who's Your Daddy?
Oh Dear was my suggestion.
It was yours.
It looked fun. It was fun for 10 minutes, and then everyone would basically just got bored.
And games like that, honestly, we played it for 10 minutes and it was quite fun for 10 minutes, and then it's a case of, right, we're never playing that again, uninstall.
Yeah.
Same with Who's Your Daddy. It was fun for 10 minutes, uninstall.
Well, that's the benefit of Steam. You've got 2 hours of gameplay. I mean, it's the best thing. It's like you buy a game, right, guys, you've got 2 hours to play, go, and if it's terrible, you just all refund it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Anyway, we thank you for listening and watching. We always appreciate it. Until next time, I've been Beef the Legend.
My name's Devastate.
And I've been Massinivry. Tofu.
Catch you later, peeps. Goodbye.
Later.